Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Sometimes I listen to George Norrie on Coast to Coast. I was a big Art Bell fan. It's hard for me to do that now because I do the morning show, but back in those days, I would listen to it all the time. And the one thing I would always think about is, wow, they have a guest on for 3 hours, and our show, we're lucky to get 25 minutes, which is actually probably pretty good for a morning show. But our next guest has not only been on Coast to Coast with George Norrie, but probably also merits having 3 hours worth of time to talk. He has written a book. Listen to the title of this. It's called The Dream Interpretation Dictionary. J.M. DeBord is on the phone. He's known as the Rad Owl. Is that right, Robin? The Reddit Dream Expert?
Yes.
He's a dream interpreter. He was featured on Coast to Coast AM, Darkness Radio, The Moore Show. He's been on all of them, so it's such an honor to have him on our show, and I can see why people want to have him on. It's just, I would always be afraid if I wrote a dream interpretation dictionary. I think every Thanksgiving, every one of my relatives would be telling me their dreams. I'd be going nuts. I wouldn't have time for turkey. J.M. DeBord. Good morning, J.M. Thank you for being on with us.
Good morning, Larry. Yeah, my life has been very busy since that book came out, not just with the radio interviews, but the Facebook. They hit me on my my Facebook page. I was talking to someone from the Philippines the other day, somebody from South Africa. I'm kind of like everybody's walking dream interpretation dictionary. I know.
Now. I have so many questions about this, so I'm glad you have 25 minutes with us. So I thought I would ask you about a dream I had, and then I changed my mind because I thought everybody does this to you. It's like the pretty girl that always gets whistle. You're like the pretty girl. Everybody whistles at you, right?
Yeah, right.
So rather than me tell you a dream and ask you to interpret it, I'm going to tell you a dream that was interpreted for me by life itself. Okay?
Okay.
And
sure.
And when I look back on it, I said, now, why didn't I know this? Okay, so here's the dream. The dream is I'm sitting in my car, and I see the back of the hood of my car raised about 4 inches. And I look out the window, and there's my son, and I said, what is this? He said, I got you a new car, Dad. Okay, that's the whole dream. Okay, now, fast forward maybe 2 weeks. Robin and I driving down the road in the rain at night, and a cow runs in front of us. And we hit the cow. Now the end result is the back of the hood of my car is raised about 4 inches. And I said, "Holy cow!"
Yeah,
get it? Holy cow! And I'm not. This isn't a joke. Yeah. This is really what happened.
Yeah.
All right. So then, guess what happens? The car's totaled. I can no longer drive it. I have to buy a new car. Guess who I get it from? Sunrise Automotive, and they spelled S-O-N. So I didn't get a new car from my son, but I got a new car from... Okay, so now the dream is interpreted by life. Why couldn't I take that dream and avoid hitting the cow? Why wasn't that dream like practically useful? Why couldn't I use it?
Larry, there are so many possibilities for symbolism and imagery like that it's very hard to be able to look at that dream and say, this is warning me that a cow is going to cross the road in front of my car in a couple of weeks and I'm going to get in an accident. And so, people do dream about things that are coming up in their lives. They're sometimes given very vivid warnings in their dreams about things such as, hey, don't cross that road. A car's going to come screaming around the corner right when you step out into the street, or something like that. So, you could easily interpret that image. You run into a cow. What is a cow? It is a slow-moving creature. So your life is going along very quickly. You're driving the car. It's showing your life going along. And you run into the cow. It could mean that your busy life runs into some kind of slow-moving obstacle. Since it involves your son, you could look at it as, you've got things you have to do for him that, like, say, dropping him off at school or taking him to the doctor or something like that, especially like if it's a doctor's office where it can take you an hour just to get in to see the doctor and another hour to get out of the office, So that it could very easily express symbolism related to something like that.
Can the layperson, that would be me, can I use your dictionary the next time I have a dream, open it up like right after the dream and kind of figure it out, or am I still going to be in the dark?
Well, with the dreams that are metaphorical and symbolic, my dictionary is made for you. You can look up car in the book, and you can look at you can read the symbolism of it. The entry goes on into a lot of different definitions and ways that it's used to create meaning in dreams. The trick with dream interpretation is that you can go a lot of different directions with one symbol, and you have to understand the symbol within the context of the story. So if you use my book, and not just to look up the symbols, but you read the appendix, figuring out your dream, and then you see how that ties together into all of the entries, how I remind you that your dreams are stories. They are stories told with symbolism, that you know already what your dreams mean. Larry, your brain invents those dreams. So deep down inside there.
I don't know what they mean. Yeah, okay. Now I'm confused. If I... how do I do this? So I could use the book and look up car. It would tell me something.
Yeah, look up car, because car's talking about the direction and course of your life.
Right.
Now, if we're going to, because your dream is precognitive, and there is an entry for precognitive dream in there. Most people don't know that they can dream about future moments in time. Now, most of the time, these dreams that appear to show the future are really the deep subconscious parts of your mind that are very good at seeing where things are going. They're very good at identifying patterns.
Now that I can understand. I can understand if there was a way to foresee, oh my gosh, you're spending money at an alarming rate. You're going to have a dream about, being a hobo or something.
Yeah.
Or the roof collapsing on your home. That's an often one, because the roof over your head is a metaphor for your financial security. So yeah, you could dream about your roof collapsing.
But there was nothing I could have done to predict that my car would be hit and the back of the hood would be lifted 4 inches.
And you would go to Sunrise to get your,
right. All right. So let me ask you something else to get off of that subject a little bit. I don't know if it's true or not, so you'll first have to clear this up. There are some people who claim that you can control what you dream. I think they call it fluid dreaming, so that you go to sleep.
Lucid dreaming, yes.
Lucid, thank you. Is that a real thing? And if so, what does that tell us?
Lucid dreaming is graduate work in dream interpretation. It is the ability to become conscious in a dream, and then you can direct the dream in a direction that you want it to go, or just basically consciously walk through the dream and allow it to tell you a story. It's kind of like imagine this, you're watching a movie. Usually when it's a really good movie, you are fully immersed in it. And it's called suspension of disbelief. You're immersed in the story. You forget that you're sitting in a theater full of people, or in your living room watching, this incredible, flickering images and sound. But what happens in the dream is you immerse in the story. But if you can step back, you can realize that it's a movie, and you can you can do things like, wow, maybe the director chose that shot for a reason, or the camera is at this angle for a reason, or the actress, you're aware that it's actresses and not just people in a story. So what that does for you in dreamland is it gives you the ability to be able to observe what is going on in the dream and why. Now, what you can do then is program the dream to give you something like a virtual reality simulation that is now involving all of your senses. You're not just putting a headset on your head and pretending that it's virtual reality. You are fully immersed in this simulation, and you can experience things. I've conjured up in my lucid dream. I play guitar. I conjured up some of my favorite guitar players to give me guitar lessons. I've had other times that it was just like meditate and be very peaceful, and it is incredible because it's a fully immersive experience. Yes, but it's graduate work, Larry. You got to work on basic dream interpretation first.
Can people force themselves to dream?
think is,
you don't have to force yourself. You dream whether or not, you have to dream. If you don't dream, then you will very quickly break down. I mean, they found this out down in, they knew it before Guantanamo, but they've been using this tactic on these guys for the enhanced interrogation, where they have them go without sleep for days at a time. They will allow them to go to sleep briefly, and then they'll douse them with a fire hose or something, and they'll do it over and over again for weeks at a time. And what happens is that they either they break down completely, mentally and physically, or they die. So yes, you can direct your dream, and you can program your mind consciously to recognize when you are dreaming and have a script ready to go. You go, okay, next time I wake up in a dream, I want to have the experience of, let's just say, flying by your own power. You want to fly like a bird or fly like Superman or something like that.
Oh,
you can program
I love those
to have an
dreams.
experience like that. Yeah, isn't it?
Do you know what my flying dream is not like Superman? I fly standing up. Isn't that the craziest thing? It's like I'm hovering 6 inches off the ground, but I can fly just standing up and just. And it feels so real. I mean, it feels like I can do it. And when I wake up, I'm always disappointed. It's like, oh man, it was a dream. Yeah, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So how?
A dream is an experience, though. Just remember that it's an experience unto itself.
All right, so let's say Robin is working at a grocery store, and the grocery store manager gives her the job of stacking bananas, and she's stacking bananas, and at the same time, I get a job on a railroad car, and I'm in an accident and bananas fall on me. Okay, so we both have bananas in our real lives, but different things happening with those bananas. If she dreams about bananas, isn't it going to be a different symbol than me?
Yes. Yeah, most likely, because your symbolism is very personal, and it's used in dreams based off of your associations. So for some people, a banana could be a health food. It could represent something that they do for themselves that's healthy, not necessarily just eating, or even exercise or things involving the body. It could be, it could speak to your emotional health, your financial health. You dream about eating a banana, and it's actually, the money that you have stocked away in your 401k or something like that. You're improving your financial health. Whereas for somebody else who works on a banana plantation, the last thing they want to see is a banana.
Right. Yeah.
Or somebody who stocks the shelves at work. A banana could refer somehow to their work life. So the symbolism is very personal.
So does the book kind of differentiate? Like if I look up the word banana and Robin looks up the word banana, we'll both be able to see something that's pretty accurate to what our dream is, the interpretation would be?
We'll try entries such as snake or dog, because I think I have something about banana in there, and it refers to the color yellow and the optimism of the color yellow. It refers to it as a health food. But there are things that are very highly personal about dreams that no author writing about dreams can possibly cover all of them. And I was aware of this when I started writing the Dream Dictionary, is that most of the dream dictionaries that I have picked up from other writers try to sound like they are definitive, when anytime you explain a dream symbol, at best it is speculative. So what you have to do as a teacher is show people how to interpret their own dream symbols. So I put basically what is a textbook for dream interpretation, but I put it into a dream dictionary format, because 4 out of 5 people, if they go to a bookstore and they are looking for information about dreams, they will refer first to the dream dictionaries. So I was aware of how those books usually fall short, and I decided that I was going to bring this way of interpreting dreams that is really known kind of within the psychoanalytic circles. That I wanted to bring it to the masses, and I wanted to explain it in a way that was simple and easy to understand. I strip out all of that jargon and psychoanalytic theory and all that fun stuff, but I teach you the techniques that they use to be able to interpret dreams. So look up dog. That's a good example. Or look up snake in the dream dictionary. It shows you that, like with snake, if you are from, somebody who sees your only encounters with snakes are when they're in your backyard or something, then they're probably like a symbol of fear or something along those lines. But if you are from, say, a First Nations culture, most snakes represented things like, fertility and the wisdom of nature and transformation and healing and things like that. So a symbol can vary greatly depending upon the person and the culture that they come from.
And that would also go for the particular word, like when a person uses the word abandonment, that always seems to be a negative connotation, but if a person dreams about that, it might flip up to the positive side, meaning this person is moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe letting go of the baggage from your life, abandoning something that that no longer serves you, things along those lines. Dreams like to enact the definition of a word, and you step back and when you're interpreting something like abandonment, you step back from it and you go, well, what else could this mean? The dream shows it as a child abandoned in a train station, let's just say, for example. But if you can step back from it and go, well, what are other definitions of this word? What does it mean to abandon? So you can also look for metaphors and figures of speech that are actually enacted in the dream itself. You can see the metaphor in motion. Once you learn to look for these things and things like word plays, I have a great example from the other day from somebody who had a dream that she was on a bullet train flying, along at 300 miles an hour. There are women down by the exit stairs. This is a woman who's dreaming this, and they are eating cantaloupe. Okay, so it appears to be ridiculous imagery. You go, cantaloupe, well, why in the world is she drinking or is she eating cantaloupe? Right. Well, a man appears next to her and he says, I cantaloupe. Do you hear the wordplay?
Oh,
sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And what it means is that she has been looking in her very busy life, going along like a bullet train. She has been thinking about, hey, I need some romance in my life. And in the dream, she is helping herself to define what the parameters of this are. And she's telling herself that she can't make a rash decision. She can't elope.
All right,
right? So it's right there in the dream if you know what to look for.
That almost seems like an easy one. I think I could have figured out that one. All right, let me ask you this. When my mom and dad are both gone, my mom died in 2012. My dad in 2008. Okay, I dream about them. I dreamt about them last night. I don't remember what I dreamt, but it doesn't feel like they're giving me a message or that the dream is giving me a message. It just feels like I'm visiting them. So, in other words, before they died, they were elderly. They were up there. But I would drive over to their place. I didn't have anything I wanted. I didn't come over to borrow money. I didn't come over to do it. If they needed a chore done, I would do it. But I didn't really even go over for that. I just went over to say, hey, let me have some pie and ice cream and let's just chat about nothing. So I'm wondering if that's not what I'm doing now when I dream about them. There's never any real substance to my dreams. It's just hanging out.
Well, when you realize that most dreams are basically memories that are pulled up and then visualized, and they're given context, they're put into a story, they're given dialogue. It's like actors on a stage, and they're given a script. And so what if you think about it, Larry, what you could be doing is basically just keeping their memory alive. That your dream every once in a while pulls them up. It doesn't have to be anything really dramatic. Now, if you look up deceased loved ones in my dream dictionary, and if you look at my website, dreams123.net, you'll see on my website that the most popular post that I have is about interpreting dreams about deceased loved ones. It's very common in people when they have these dreams, they think that they're being visited by the relative, the spirit of that person, when really, like, what really could be happening is, like in your case, you are pulling up the memories of them and just trying to keep that memory alive. It can refer to the time of life when you were with them. It could refer to things that they have taught you. There is some kind of challenge that's come up in your life, and you need to remember the things that they've taught you. There are many different things they can refer to. They could symbolize something that you associate with them, such as if your mom was a creative type or your dad was good at fixing things. You know, it's now your dad's in a dream and you're dreaming about trying to fix something.
Are you clairvoyant or psychic or something of that nature?
No, Not really. I mean, I'm intuitive in a sense, is that I can often make unusual connections between things, but I wouldn't say I have any kind of particular psychic ability. But if you look up psychic ability in the dream dictionary, you'll see that it's loaded with symbolism.
All right, so I'll tell you my dream. Let's see what you can do with it, okay? I had a dream. My son is 31 years old. I had a dream he was shredding money, and he needed me to help him with a remote-control gas-powered car. That was the whole dream. And I wrote him a text message. I said, I had a dream. Is everything all right? Because in the dream, here's what I felt in the dream, was that I wanted to try to help him because he was like burning money or wasting money on something.
That was the first thing I thought too. Is there something where now think of money though as a resource, and it could be your time, your energy, the things that you value. Money it's a numerical value on a piece of paper. So it can refer literally to money, and finances and the dollars and cents in your bank account, or it could refer to the things that you value and the resources that you have. I've had many dreams about the bank, and it's like, well, I'm trying to draw money out of the bank. Well, what I've learned is that those dreams are often me trying to tap into my inner resources, especially my energy level, to be able to apply it to something in my life.
Hey,
so with your son, yeah, go ahead, Larry.
No, I don't mean to stop you. I mean, you were on a roll there, but I apologize. George Norrie had more time. He could ask. He could let you go on. Did George?
2 hours last time and 3 hours the first time. So I've had 5 hours with George.
So he's a great, by the way. I'd love to meet him. So where? Okay, a dream about being naked. Nobody ever wants to tell you they had these dreams, but they're always so weird. It's like you're not naked like having sex, although that probably happened a few times. But
yeah.
But I mean, you're naked in like a cotton field or something, and you're picking cotton, and all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, did you want to go to the ball game?" And you don't even think that you're naked. You just are.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does it mean?
Well, when you think about clothes are your outer identity. They're what you put on. It's what the world sees. It's something that covers you. So when you think about being naked, it can mean that you are exposed. Now, if you are exposed in an emotional sense, a dream can take it and turn it into a physical scenario of being exposed in the naked sense. But you could also look at it as being that there is something that is lacking about your outer identity, because clothing being the way that you present yourself. Exposed could mean something like exposed to risk. It's not just bearing all. Although dreams love to create metaphors like that, and if you are naked, you are bearing it all, right? But if clothing has a lot to do with also the way that you present yourself to the world. I know a man who had a dream that he was naked in front of his coworkers, and he's looking around and nobody seems to notice, but he's kind of freaking out. Well, when you talk to him about his work life, because, there's coworkers in the dream, so that's where you're going to begin, you find out that he's still fairly new to his job, and he doesn't really feel like he knows what he's doing, and he's afraid he's going to be exposed in front of them, but they don't notice. And what it tells him is that everybody else is doing their job, and they don't notice that he's having a little bit of difficulty doing his job.
So what if you dream about somebody else being naked, not you? Are they?
You can be seeing the person for what they really are. It's very easy to confuse this kind of symbolism when you look at it literally instead of figuratively. Larry, here's one that's very common at reddit.com, where I'm the moderator of the dreams forum over there, is people dream about their ex. And one of the first things they'll do is go, maybe I should get in touch with the person. And I go, no, that is a terrible mistake. You are confusing the dream character for the real person. What it really means is that you are looking at that time of your life. You're trying to learn something from the situation. You're realizing your own insecurities and fears. You are reminiscing on that time of life. You are falling in love with something about yourself. It does not mean just because that dream character represents someone that the dream is about that person.
This is a fascinating topic. Okay, the book is called The Dream Interpretation Dictionary, Symbols, Signs, and Meanings. It is written by J.M. J.M. DeBord, and I found it on Amazon. You got a 5-star rating right across the board. Hey, that's your name right there, right across the board. How do you recommend us to get it? I found it on Amazon. Is there a better way or a different way?
It's at IndieBound, Books A Million, Target, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstores, although it's been a couple months since it's been released. It was the #1 book in dreams on Amazon. I beat Sigmund Freud for like 2 days. Believe it or not, Larry, after all these years, over a century after his book, The Interpretation of Dreams, was released, he is still #1. And most people are going to buy that book and they're not going to understand where he's coming from. But if you buy my book, then it's in very modern language. It's very easy and it'll walk you through step by step how to understand your dreams. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, JM. We've got to run, but thank you so much for being on the show with us. We will take a break. Be right back.
Fake news media didn't cover his comments on the Charlottesville violence fairly. At a rally in Phoenix, the president read from a statement he had made.
I love all the people of our country. We're going to make America great again, but we're going to make it great for all of the people of the United States of America.
He didn't mention the comment about both sides bearing blame. The Pentagon says divers have located more bodies in a damaged Navy destroyer but can't get to them.
More divers and heavy equipment are needed to gain access and open up those flooded compartments to locate and extract bodies of those 10 missing sailors.
Fox's Lucas